Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Curious Nashville. Yeah, Curious Nashville. Without Curious Nashville, we wouldn't know about an old fallout shelter used for the governor or the explanation for what purports to be a space capsule on the side of the road in Hickman County. We would have many street, school, and neighborhood names that still needed their origins uncovered, and most of us wouldn't know about the whereabouts of the custom carousel made by artist Red Grooms, which I guess there's more art coming from that, as we just heard. Thanks to Curious Nashville, though, we know this and much more. And we're back taking questions and delivering answers that are fun to hear and, frankly, fun for those of us reporting them. So, for a bit of a refresher and some updates to a few stories, we have Mr. Curious Nashville himself, WPLN News Director Tony Gonzalez. He's been here since the beginning, nearly 10 years ago. And no one is more excited for this moment than you.
I don't know if I've ever been called Mr. Curious Nashville
Yeah, well, I
before,
came up with it this morning when I wrote this, and it felt right, and I didn't run it by you. But if you'd like to watch today, we are streaming video, as we often are, at youtube.com/@WPLN. Get active in the chat there, because we'll be taking your questions later on this hour, but you can throw them in the chat right now at youtube.com/@WPLN. So, Tony, if you had to give somebody the Curious Nashville elevator pitch, what is it?
All right. Shortest version of the Curious Nashville elevator pitch is you ask, we answer.
All right. There's got to be more.
I can do a little extended version. That it is that simple, but basically anybody can ask us a question. If the question is interesting enough, we will assign a reporter to go out and find the answer. So often people do have, like you said, questions about local history, place names. People also wonder just like how things work, like in local government, like the Metro Schools lottery or, the budgeting process, stuff like that. And then, of course, probably my favorite bucket of questions, like what's that weird thing on the side of the road? Oh,
we love weird thing questions.
Can you figure out what that is or why it's there? So those are the buckets. So if the question is interesting enough and tricky enough to warrant a professional journalist.
A total pro.
Then we'll put someone in motion to try to find that answer.
All right. So over the years, we've gone to a lot of places with these questions. Talk about the mindset that kind of drives Curious Nashville.
Sure. So we are trying to answer the question, admittedly, but we're not trying to just answer the question. We're trying to show how we found the answer, what kind of reporting, what sort of research goes into it. So that makes it very different than a typical news story, right? A typical news story, you're just hearing like, here's what's going on, here's the budget, here's what happened today, here's what happened lately. This one, we're trying to kind of go on a journey. So it really is a little bit of a different mindset. We're trying to show how you might go about figuring out an answer. The other thing that kind of sets it apart then is, I could assign a reporter on a given day like, hey, go find out what the mayor is saying today about such and such. You kind of know, okay, I got to go here. I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it on the radio. For these, sometimes you really don't even know where to start. Like, who do I even ask? Is there a book I can read? Is there some old article I can go find? So often on a Curious Nashville, the reporter truly is stumped at the beginning. We love that. And the last thing I'd mentioned that makes Curious Nashville a little different is if the reporter finds something weird along the way, they're encouraged to go down the rabbit hole, to take the tangent. So it's not just like, I mean, if it was just we could answer this question and tell you the answer in 30 seconds, why bother?
We'll do it in 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah,
so
not 30 minutes.
Let's do it in let's really bask in it and let's learn something as we go.
All right, well, let's bask in a couple things. Curious Nashville's answered more than 100 questions over the years. Here's an excerpt from a story that Mariana Bacchiao did that explains the peculiar pronunciations behind some local places and landmarks like Lafayette, Sevier, Lebanon.
If you're new to Nashville and no one's told you yet, let me be the first. That street isn't pronounced how you think.
Demon Bruin.
Lemon Bruin. Demon Brown.
Damon Bruin.
Demon, what's that, Brown? Demon Brewing? I got nothing.
It's Demumbrian. But if you were standing on Demumbrian Street 300 years ago, you might hear that name pronounced
Dumorbrun.
one more time.
Dumorbrun.
Okay, that was a hard one. Let's try something easier.
So maybe you're learning something for the first time right now. It's Demumbrian. And Mariana tackles several other place names, too.
But we can't blame the French for all of Middle Tennessee's odd pronunciations.
In my early 20s, I was doing the show in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Murfreesboro. I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Okay,
I'm not mispronouncing it.
That's comedian John Mulaney mispronouncing Murfreesboro on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon.
I think it was named by a dying Confederate general as he barely sat up in bed eating mashed potatoes. And his grandson was like, "Pappy, you gotta name the town." And he was like, Murfreesboro. They're like, "Put it on the sign."
So he's wrong on several counts. The name comes from a war captain who battled the British and dedicated the city to his dear friend, Colonel Hardy Murphy.
And since spelling matters, it's Murphy with an F, not a PH. I don't know about you. We need to hear from the Murfreesboro. Oh, my goodness. What do you call Murfreesboroans? But that we should know that answer. But if
What
you
a
ask,
perfect example of a story that is, right?
You're right.
We had a lot of people ask us, how do you say this or why do we say it this way? And Mariana just picking them up, knocking them down.
Well, but if you ask, if you do voice to text, a lot of times it spells Murfreesboro with a PH instead of an F. I don't know why that is, but I always feel like I have to correct it. You know how there's some things that if you do voice to text, you're like, okay, I can't hit send on this. I must correct this. If you're just tuning in, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville, but it's kind of this Curious Nashville episode because you're going to be hearing more Curious Nashville on this very show, which is what we're talking about, and we're with Mr. Curious Nashville, Tony Gonzalez. So some stories kind of end up going viral locally, or they become what we in the news business call talkers. But stories of people, they still bring up years later. So, Tony, what do you think of as some of those the greatest hits?
Yes. I mean, when you really strike gold on Curious Nashville, people literally talk about it years later. I mean, I still have people asking me about, are there tunnels beneath downtown Nashville? That is one of the stories that
a little more relevant right now with the Music City Loop coming.
We had a little bit of history there to share. That's true. A couple others that come to mind. You already mentioned one of them, the Red Grooms Carousel, this ornate carousel that used to be in Nashville. Someone wondered whatever happened to it. Where did it go? We were able to locate it.
Well, it's come up several times when the mayor is on. People will ask, what are we going to do about that?
At one point, Curious Nashville found that it was in sort of mothballed in a state warehouse. Got to visit the undisclosed location. That was a story that people have been talking about for years. We still have a lot of folks visiting our podcast episode about the revolving restaurant that used to be downtown on top of the Sheridan.
Is this still revolving?
It does not revolve anymore.
But I think it's
spoiler alert. You can still get up into it.
Yes,
does not revolve anymore.
I hate to brag right here on the radio, but I did eat in that when I was in high school while it was revolving.
Well, and when we were doing that reporting, we had so many people come out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who had special occasions up there and dates and that sort of thing. So we definitely tried to share some of those stories. The other one that's near and dear to my heart, the peace sign, the gigantic peace sign in the forest at Nashville Airport. So if you're flying in or out of the airport in the right direction to a particular runway, there is a huge peace sign in the forest that is visible from above.
Is it still?
It is still there. If you look at a satellite view kind of down Murfreesboro Pike, that end of the airport, you can still see it in the woods, which I actually do not know the exact, I can't say this for sure, but somebody still must be mowing the pattern. Because what it is that the bushes and trees have grown up over, at this point, more than 14 or 18 years or something like that. So someone keeps mowing the peace sign so that it is still visible.
And it was just a guy who does the groundskeeping there who thought it was a cool idea, right?
Who put in just methodical mowing for many years.
Playing the long game.
Yes, the long game.
I mean, how interesting. Well, one of the beautiful things with Curious Nashville is that it shows there are these stories that are all around us. And we'll get asked about things that people see every day and then just don't think about it until I think, oh, yeah, I actually don't know where that came from. Do you have a favorite example of that?
Sure. I'll mention at least two. One of them, if you're in Green Hills, by the Green Hills Mall and Hillsborough High School, the high school there, really cool architecture, and has this interesting clock on the outside. And we had an employee who works at the mall who just, his view, I guess, out of his office was this clock. And he was sort of like, what's up with this clock? What's the story of this clock? Wow. So that's something where, and of course, there's the transit center right there now too. And there's just a lot of people that go by it.
Yep.
So you realize there is quite a story behind that clock. It was actually a senior class gift to the school in the 1950s in honor of a student who had passed away as at an early age. So that one comes to mind. We also did, in the early days of Curious Nashville, we did a story about the Golden Domed Bank on Charlotte Pike. It's got the geodesic dome, and there was a question about sort of the history of that. So some of those, just any building, anything you see around you could become a Curious Nashville. It could be a question about the architecture, the history, the name, any of those sorts of things. Those are just ripe for a reporter to kind of get their hands on it,
Well, and someone asked us about the L&C Tower sometime downtown, and I don't think that I knew that the color used to change.
Right. So L&C Tower, I think, is sort of most famously known for being like the first skyscraper in the city. And if you look at the old
first
photos,
in the southeast, maybe.
Right. If you look at the photos, it was like the city was a certain number of floors tall, and then the L&C Tower was...
You don't even see the L&C Tower from most angles these days, But
at the top there, there used to be like a lighting system that would convey the weather report. So if you kind of knew what the coding was, you could kind of know at a quick glance the weather. And we had someone ask us about that. And for that particular story, our reporter did find sort of the son of the sign maker who had installed the thing all those years ago. So yeah, those stories really are, they're kind of all around us, kind of staring us in the face.
All right. Well, we're going to be taking questions coming up later in the hour, live on the air here. But just to help you understand, this is going to be something you're going to hear monthly on This Is Nashville. We're going to have an episode that's got a lot of reporting that's in it. We'll also have folks live on the air, and we will be taking your questions live on the air, which we think is going to be a really nice addition. So maybe this has got your wheels turning about landmarks or oddities that you're curious about. We're going to be taking those questions live on the air, so get ready here. Or you can leave your question in the chat on the YouTube video stream. That's at youtube.com/@WPLN. Coming up after this quick break, we're going to ask, where are they now to some of these stories? Stay with us. This is Curious Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Curious Nashville. It's a project we're bringing back where the WPLN newsroom answers your questions, the questions that stump ChatGPT, why things are the way they are in Middle Tennessee. If all this talk has a question on the tip of your tongue, we'll be taking questions live on the air in about 10 minutes, so stay with us. You can also put it in the chat at our video stream if you're watching today. That's youtube.com/@WPLN. We've got some updates to some of the many stories we've done over nearly 10 years of Curious Nashville, and WPLN's news director Tony Gonzalez will walk us through. The very first question we ever answered was about those pithy sayings that TDOT, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, used to put up on interstate signs, and I don't even see those signs anymore. What happened?
Yeah, this is so 2016, I guess we did that story. Who writes those pithy signs? The answer was that there are various TDOT folks who used to kind of brainstorm these things. It sounded like there was kind of a little office culture of who could write the funniest one, and that
a lot
kind
of word play.
Yeah, exactly. Rhymes about buckling up and that kind of stuff. Well, obviously the signs are still there, but what we've learned is that around 2021, there was some new federal guidance that basically said if the message isn't sort of essential and urgent and real applicable, you really shouldn't be putting it up on your signs. And then I think that guidance was reissued a couple of years later. The federal government has sort of been like, we need to rein it in on these interstate signs. So TDOT has done that. I will say, and I messaged with TDOT recently, last holiday season, late 2024, they did do a little contest for residents to write the signs one more time. They just made sure that whichever one actually they chose, or the ones they chose, fit within that federal guidance.
I see.
So they're not totally gone.
Yeah.
But they've been tamped down.
But they are not what they used to be. All right, so on kind of the other end of the spectrum, before Curious Nashville took a little bit of a break here, Metro reporter Cynthia Abrams did a story about a strange piece of land in downtown Nashville, the Chill Little Beach. Let's hear a clip from the original story that was in 2023.
The tiny plot is filled with sand and umbrellas and beach games, and it sits squarely at the intersection of 3 busy streets.
These cars are like the ocean. They ebb and flow, and there's movement and energy and people, and they're all looking at us, and we're having fun.
That's Mark Cleveland, the mastermind behind the Little Chill Beach.
My daughter said, "Hey, Dad, what do you want to do for Father's Day? We want to maybe take you golfing or something?" I said, "How about helping me build a pallet fence?"
In the span of 15 days, using recycled pallets found across East Nashville, Cleveland constructed what is now the beach, just in time for a 4th of July party in 2021.
Tony, I'm trying to situate listeners here. This is this little slice of land. I feel like I'm always driving there in the dark for some reason.
It's 4th and Lafayette.
Yeah.
To come back to the pronunciations.
Lafayette. Yes, Lafayette. So like if you're...
There's this kind of like, and there's actually a third road there too, so it's a little triangle.
It's the strangest little... I mean, it's kind of near that part of town people call Pie Town, right? Well, no, it's across Lafayette. Well, all right. Tell me that the beach is not washed away.
I wish I could tell you that. There is no more sand on this plot.
Okay.
But for a while, there was this little beach, and it was kind of kitschy, and you could rent it out. And I know that music videos were filmed there, and there were some parties and that kind of thing. There's no more sand there. And the beach is, once again, and kind of always has been, for sale. There have been ideas over the years for how you might build a skinny, triangular skyscraper there. We have been messaging with the property owner who you heard in that story, and he's got some ideas brewing. He's not ready to share them yet, but he has talked about some kind of art installation, which arguably the beach was that as well. He's talked about some conceptual building ideas. So I still think that if you have a strange triangle, the opportunity is there to build something on it.
Wait, so is it up for sale, or it still is on the market?
Well, there are for sale signs. I mean, if you go by there right now, it is for sale.
Did I see the price is like $2 million?
I think it's something over $2 million, yes.
All right. Well, there you go on land values in downtown Nashville. If you're just joining us, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Curious Nashville, and we're joined by the host of Curious Nashville, Tony Gonzalez. We're going to start taking your questions momentarily. I mean, not momentarily, in a few minutes. So to join us on air to ask your Curious Nashville question, call us at 615-760-2000. You can also leave a question for Curious Nashville online at wpln.org/curious. Or if you're watching right now, our video from the studio, you can drop it in the chat at youtube.com/@WPLN. Tony, can we do a lightning round?
Love a lightning round.
All right, this is like a lightning round on Where Are They Now to stories. So in 2018, we featured the story of the big pink elephant at a car dealership on Charlotte Avenue. Where is that big pink elephant?
Where is it now? Okay, so first off, let me give some credit where credit is due. And I will say, as you've mentioned, Curious Nashville took a little hiatus. But once we put these Curious Nashville stories out into the world, other people talk about them. And in this case, Channel 2, News 2, WKRN, they recently did a story about the big pink elephant. I got a little jealous when I saw it, but I can tell you, citing their reporting, that the big pink elephant has a new home. It's no longer at the dealership. It was taken away. It got a little spiffing up, this large pink elephant. And now it is at the Clean Getaway Auto Wash, still on Charlotte Pike. And the new owner of Pinky the elephant says he's planning to kind of move it around to his various car washes. And one thing we learned about the history of that elephant, was that you used to be able to like rent it out for kids' birthday parties. And the new owner is a longtime resident. He remembers that he wants to start renting out Pinky to kids' birthday parties.
Man.
So there's been some news about the elephant.
There's news. Listen, if you've got a question, give us a ring. We're going to be answering these phone calls in just a moment. 615-760-2000 is the number. Or you can drop a question in the YouTube chat, youtube.com/@WPLM. We're streaming video. Jessica Barker writes, has a story ever stumped you? Or has a question ever been uniquely or unexpectedly difficult to answer?
Yes. Well, for one, and Curious Nashville stories don't love a deadline. Let me just say it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes us a little extra time to get to the truth. Sometimes we kind of put the story on the shelf and we come back to it later. So,
I mean, I'm thinking of a story that we're going to air on this program next month. That sucker took a while.
It's been about 3 years. 3 years in the making. Not continuous 3 years in the making, but it is true. I mean, for example, one of the stories was about this space capsule, quote unquote, in Hickman County. We got this question. We were intrigued by it. We'd made a few phone calls. We eventually had a reporter go out there and look at the thing.
Did we already have a picture when we were asked the question?
I don't think we had a picture.
Yeah.
But we eventually went and took pictures. You can certainly go see that story on the website. So that one took a couple of years to get to the finish line. But to the point, has a story ever stumped you? I think, Blake, you may have even worked on this one.
Okay.
But there is a question that a lot of folks in town, including historians and folks with the real expertise, still don't really know the answer to, which is kind of why the Metro seal looks the way it looks.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the Metro seal, of course, it's on the flag. It's on the official documents. There's like a Native American character holding a skull in his hand.
Yeah.
It's a little murky how that ever actually came to be.
The answer was very unsatisfying. I mean, I think we got as far as the answer could take us, but it was almost that it might be the idea was kind of this looking at memento mori. Is that the name? Maybe Behind the Glass can help me there. But the that you're sort of contemplating life itself.
Sure, right. And I think, I mean, obviously, maybe we didn't get the final full answer, but we learned something along the way. Another one that's on my plate still, on my list, we had a great question at one point about what folks in the Hillsborough area refer to as the secret sidewalk. So normally a sidewalk goes like along the street, right? So the same direction as traffic. There is a particular sidewalk. If you know it, you know it. It runs the other way. So it runs between some houses and backyards. And there's this question about why there is this sidewalk in this particular neighborhood. There's actually a similar one in Old Hickory as well. So we have, like, as far as we know, these two unusual sidewalks. I have some hunches, but I have not yet totally figured out why. So hopefully I'll come back and get that one.
Wow. Well, before we go to a break, let's go ahead and go to the phones, because the phones are coming in hot and heavy at 615-760-2000 to ask your question. First on, I think the name is Mal. You're on Curious Nashville, I guess is what you're on. What's your question?
Hey, how are you doing? I just have a question. I grew up in Ireland, but I moved over to Nashville. And growing up and going to school here, I noticed on the side of the highway there was a Confederate statue, the Nathan Bedford Forrest statue, I believe. And after it was removed, I was curious about what happened to it. What happened to the statue itself? Where did it go?
Wow, great question. You know what? First off, I love this question because it's tied into the news, and it's tied into news that we all were part of, that we all covered, that we all saw. High visibility, a lot of controversy. But I don't know, off the top of my head, I do not know where the physical statue went.
Well, I remember the family being taken. The guy, real eccentric guy who owns the bit of property, or owned the bit of property where that statue was. I interviewed him myself. I don't know if it was for Curious Nashville or for something else, but it was certainly that statue took a lot of flack over the years, including like people shooting at it and trying to tie it to the train that would come past to get it torn down. They did end up taking it down. I believe it was after his passing. But I don't know that they disclosed where it was going, and I don't know that we have an answer. So
Great question.
Val, that's a good question, and we
put it on the list.
We're writing it down right now, Mal, so thanks for that. We've got more calls coming in. If you want to join them, the number is 615-760-2000. We do need to take one more break. When we come back, we're just taking your phone calls wall to wall. 615-760-2000. We'll get to as many as we can. We might be able to answer some questions on the spot, or we'll have to get back to you. But for those of you who don't, we'll enter you in a consideration for future episodes. So don't go easy on us. WPLN's newsroom has some serious sleuths ready to spin a tale for you. 615-760-2000 to share your questions. Stay with us. This is Curious Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Curious Nashville. Well, we've been whetting your appetite with reminders of where we've been over nearly 10 years of Curious Nashville. It's a user-generated project. The better the question, the better the tale. Some of our favorite episodes have even included the asker of that question. Coming along for some of the reporting, Curious Nashville host Tony Gonzalez, our news director here at WPLN, is here to take questions live on the air, and we've got a lot of calls to get through. Join us on the air. We're going to be quick if we can, 615-760-2000, or drop a question at youtube.com/@WPLN, just in the chat there where we're streaming video. All right, let's go to the phones. Mike in Nolansville, you've been waiting patiently. What's your question?
Hey, how you doing? Give generously, people.
Well, thank you.
Kind of nervous, sorry. I was given a book called The Legend of Prince Madoc, and in that, the author claims that about 1,000 years ago, a Welsh prince made 2 trips to North America, and on his second one, he came up through the river system, up through Alabama into Tennessee and Kentucky, and the author says that the Old Stone Fort State Park down in Manchester was actually built by this Welsh prince and his crew, and that there is a rune stone, I guess you would call it, a carved stone from that wall 1,000 years ago, supposedly in the Tennessee State Museum. And I wondered if anyone could shed any light on that.
Oh man, you've got our eyebrows raised up in here.
I was at Old Stone Park 2 fall breaks ago. I mean, that doesn't.
I was there not too long ago myself.
That doesn't jive with the official story down there.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly intrigued.
And you're saying what's the book called? Yeah. Just so we got that written down.
It's called The Legend of Prince Madoc and the White Indians by Dana Olson. One of the gentlemen down that works at the park knew of this legend.
Okay.
Because as you say, there's nothing mentioned. I was given it by my mother-in-law, who lives up west of Louisville, because that's where he eventually stopped traveling, built a town at the falls of the Falls of the Ohio there at Louisville, and then was eventually massacred by the indigenous folks. Claimed there, and they say that they found helmets and swords and shields of that era up there in that area in the Ohio River around Louisville. But that's an interesting book. I just need to get down to the museum and see if they can shed any light. I didn't know if you all knew.
Well, Mike, maybe we're coming with you, so hold on for a second. But thank you for the question, Mike in Nolansville. Really appreciate it. We'll keep moving down the list here. If you want to ask your question, the number is 615-760-2000. Lucas, you're on Curious Nashville. What's your question?
Well, hi. Expatriate, now in the state of Michigan, and I've got a revived question from years ago when I heard the show was coming back.
Oh, love that. What's up?
So when we lived in Nashville the previous 7 years to our move, we lived next to TSU and near Clifton Avenue.
Okay.
And I had heard from neighbors, especially the older ones that had been there a long time, that there was a community called Clifton, not to be confused with the city, the town.
Yeah, Clifton, Tennessee. Okay.
And that it may have been the location of less savory activities such as slave trade arrivals off of the river that people didn't want to have to look at downtown. And I don't know what the truth to any of this is, but it seems like there's a lack of placemaking in that little no man's land between the very pricey gentrified nations and the campus of Tennessee State. And maybe there's a story to tell and some history to give that place a sense of place.
Wow, yeah, that would be. Tony?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head much more about this, but I'm already thinking about some of the local historians who we might put in a call to.
Yeah.
It also makes me think, and you mentioned placemaking or just acknowledgement of this history. There has been a concerted effort in recent years to really overhaul the types of historical markers that are all across Nashville. So it wouldn't be out of the question that if there were research and a movement on, that there could be some acknowledgement.
First call to Lerotha Williams, I think, right?
That's on my mind.
Lucas, thanks for the question all the way from Grand Rapids. Really appreciate it. Let's take another call. Dan, you're on Curious Nashville. What's your question?
Hi, thank you. We're long-time members also.
Well, thank you.
My question was about the middle school named J.T. Moore.
I know of it.
And somebody, I think my older son, raised the question of how it was named, why it was named for him. When we looked it up, it seems like he was an author, journalist. He was an archivist for the state government, but also an ardent racist. This is around the turn of the century, early 1900s. Big proponent of the KKK and openly in favor of lynching. And so I wanted to understand more about how the school came to be named for him and what, if anything, is being done to consider updating that given the social progress over the last 100 years or so since his time.
That is quite a question. Well, and we get a lot of place name questions. Some of them end up with a very simple answer. This one sounds rather layered, nuanced. I don't know that history. I mean, that's already a lot of information. I do have some ideas of where we could go to start learning more. I believe there was a movement in the last few years to try to get the school renamed. I also know just from various city and state agencies that renaming places, I mean, there are rules and laws about that too. So that's an intriguing one.
JT Moore, we'll look into it. John Trotwood Moore. Dan, thanks for the call. We'll take another call here, but if you'd like to ask your Curious Nashville question live on air, we'd love to hear from you. The number is 615-760-2000. We still have a few minutes left. Christina from Nashville, you're on Curious Nashville. What's your question?
Well, I always have a question about that merry-go-round, but today's question is about that statue that used to be on the top of Union Station. It was Mercury, and it was there until the renovation, and until Union Station became a hotel, and it came down, was never put back up. We have a very primitive replica, I think, up there, but the original, I'm wondering where it could be.
The original. Well, good to hear from you again, and I forgot, you called with the mayor on Red Groom's Carousel. Am I wrong about that?
Yep, I want that back somewhere.
Sounds like there might be news. But you're saying there was an original that was replaced with a replica, but you think the original still exists somewhere of the statue of Mercury that was on top of Union Station?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that seems like there's probably an answer out there somewhere.
Put it on the list.
Well, thank you so much for the question. We've got a few more minutes left if you want to join and ask your question on the air, 615-760-2000. We're just going to keep them coming. Matthew in Nashville, you're on Curious Nashville. What's the question?
Hey, good afternoon. This is about a record album.
Okay.
About 25 years ago, I picked this up at a church sale or yard sale. It is a program of Christmas music performed by the First American National Bank Christmas Choir of Nashville, Tennessee.
The bank
and
choir.
The picture on the cover shows the choir singing in the lobby of the bank with the conductor of the choir standing in front of the counter with the withdrawal slips and the deposit slips. It's just adorable. So I'm wondering, what's the story behind it? How long this choir existed? When did they decide to make a record? And any other information?
Well, I Music City's own bank choir, the history of it, sounds like a story we need to hear.
Yeah, we've got some music journalists who would probably be eating that one up.
All right.
It makes me wonder about the genre. Was this a genre?
Yeah.
Christmas, locally made Christmas albums?
Who knows? Time will tell. Very much appreciate the call about the bank choir. We'll maybe get back to you. Larry calling in on Curious Nashville. I don't know. Maybe you have an answer. Is this follow up on JT Moore? Larry, go ahead.
I have a bad answer.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate the earlier caller pointing out what a racist and supporter of lynching John Trotwood Moore was. When I discovered that 4 or 5 years ago, I called the school board and said, let's do something to get the name changed. I could not get my representative on the school board to return my calls or even talk about it. I wanted to urge all your listeners, call your representative on the National School Board. Tell them we've got to get something done about racists like J.T. Moore and get their name out of our school system.
Well, Larry, appreciate the call. We'll do some of our own homework as well. So thank you for following up on that. And last question. I hope you're ready for this. I hope I'm not catching you off guard here. But Bob in Bellevue, what's your question? Oh, excuse me. Well, all right, Bob in Bellevue came to you a little too quickly, but what's your question?
When I was about 16 or 17, I followed some older friends to a bar on down what I think was near Demumbrian's Cave.
Okay. Demumbrian, as Timothy Demumbrian, one of the earliest settlers here.
Correct. And we heard in the bar that there was a cave under the bar, and we went out the door and just down through the woods and found our way into this cave, and with cigarette lighters walked the length of the cave and came out on the Cumberland River. And so in my mind, I think it was the Demumbrian's Cave, but I've never known if there was really a bar above Demumbrian's Cave.
All right. Well, Tony, is there a short answer?
I think that probably was the cave.
Yeah, the cave is there. You might have been right in it. That's all the time that we have for Curious Nashville. But boy, we've got a lot of questions to work on and more questions coming. You can submit yours at WPLN.org/curious. Tony will be back each month with a special episode, an answer, and taking more questions just like this. It's been a great time, a great hour. Thank you for listening. If you missed yesterday's show, we had the host of the Nash Villager podcast on, Nina Cardona, shared how she brings the past to life by connecting it with the present each day. Worth a listen in your podcast feed or at thisisnashville.org. Today's episode produced by Tony Gonzalez and Cynthia Abrams, directed by Tasha A.F. Limley, Josh Deepen on the phones, board operator Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind that theme music are Larange and Nabir Blade. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.